5 minutes before the game starts.
Right. You got to have at least 15 to 20 CDs.
Yeah. Did you have the same 15 to 20? How often did you change them?
No, you would interchange some, depending on whether it's a travel, it's a late game or whatever the case is, you change them up.
Yeah.
But there's probably a couple of staples that you have to have in there.
It's kind of sad. These are much less interesting questions for the players now. It's like, what do you take with you? Spotify. What do you listen to?
Every song ever known to man is available
right
to
here.
you.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's paralysis by analysis. Like, it's no wonder that people have so much anxiety about making decisions in 2022 because
can't make them.
Yeah. Well, you can't make them because you were never forced to make them. And then when you have to make them, it's like you spend an hour scrolling on Netflix before you watch something. Terrible. Sad state of affairs. All right. Before we limit too much of the down, I'm like not even 30 years old, and I'm like, back in my day.
Right.
All right, guys. This first question is probably going to be very simple. There was something approaching consensus when The Athletic had a roundtable discussion about who the best hire was in the 21st century in the Southeastern Conference.
Being clear, 21st century means 2000 on?
Yes.
Okay.
In the last 22 years of SEC football, what is the best head coaching hire?
Is this a trick question?
It's not a trick question. We're just going to go through it.
It's
Nick got to be Saban, right?
Yeah, I think it's Saban. That's consensus. Who's the next closest?
I mean, I would jump out on a limb. I think it's Steve Spurrier.
Make your case.
What this program, the heights that this program went to and hasn't seen since, I think it's harder. Yes, Auburn won a national championship, but it was also Gene Chizik.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not the same type of guy. And I don't know if there's any other head coaches who've had as big an impact on the program at a time, and also on the future expectations of what the program. Because that's basically we just live in that shadow now.
Yeah, 10 years later almost.
Yeah. Is there anybody else have is there another answer?
I'm trying to think because well, you got to think about national titles, obviously.
Yep.
And but then you're kind of thinking about, all right, how did it end? How consistent was it? I mean, Urban Meyer won 2 at Florida. It crashed and burned at the end, but I mean,
it's a hell of a run.
It shined bright when it was at its highest. So that's got to be in the convo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let's see.
So some of the other nominations from folks at The Athletic, it was all Saban. There was one Spurrier in here. There were also a couple of, in the interest of not picking Saban, I'm going to pick Kirby Smart.
Too early.
Too early? He's already played for 2 national championships, and he's only been there for what?
2016 was his first year.
So 6 years?
Hold on. It's been longer than it feels like for some reason. What's our heading here again? The best hire.
The best hire, yeah.
Best hire. I mean, it's hard to argue with the results. I'll put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was kind of dirty how they did it, but it was also kind of gutsy in that they had a guy who you pretty much you knew you were going to win with Mark Richt.
Right.
And they just said, we're not happy with that. And depending on how deep down the rabbit hole you go, and depending on I believe all these things to be true, that a big catalyst for this was that South Carolina was about to hire Kirby Smart.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of knew if he takes this SEC East job, then he's not going to leave one SEC school for another.
Right.
So Georgia says, we're making this happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of gutsy. I can't, I'm sitting there saying I can't yet put Kirby Smart near Nick Saban, but then also if you really think about it, none of these guys probably hold up to where Nick Saban is. So the conversation for number 2 maybe is several guys.
Well, and you can even make it, again, because this is best hire. I think you can. And like I said, everyone here in this sort of roundtable discussion seems to agree that it has to be Saban. But like, for example, and I have last names here, Taylor says Saban's status as the greatest hire in college football history, also qualifies as the best SEC hire. As for who's number 2, Says take Steve Spurrier. That was one of the. There were actually two Spurriers. Miller says there's no answer that isn't Saban, the best hire in the sport, of course, but to keep things fresh, what about Spurrier? Program had never finished inside the top 10, hadn't won 10 games for more than 20 years, pulled it off in 3 consecutive seasons. But Rex Road says this, says, hear me out on smart. Said Saban is absolutely goated, but he was also an obvious subject of pursuit, a national championship coach before we ever got to Tuscaloosa. It was an obvious hire. Does that mean that it's not as good of a hire because everybody would have made it?
Well, you got it done, I think is like,
Okay.
yeah, you're Alabama, but you made it happen. So I think you do get some credit. Just because it was an obvious hire doesn't mean that it was a guaranteed hire in that you were going to be able to actually go make him say yes. I feel like.
And it was tough because, I mean, Mal Moore, who passed away, I think in 12 or 13, he wanted Saban. A lot of the boosters at Bama told him that that guy is not leaving Miami. And Nick Saban's very close with Wayne Huizenga, who owned the Dolphins. And, you know, Rich Rodriguez was offered that job and accepted the job and then backed out. And then Mal Moore made his next run. He showed up in Miami, stayed in a hotel, didn't even have a meeting scheduled, and was calling Miss Terry trying to get a meeting, and finally,
smart move.
Finally got in the house, and they finally convinced him to come. So, like Wes said, it was not easy.
That's crazy.
I know we're podcasted to death, but I would absolutely spend 10 hours listening to a podcast on the behind the scenes hirings of any of these coaches, because that story is fascinating, and I'm sure every story goes down something along those lines.
So The Athletic had a really good story on it recently, actually. And another funny part of that, Rich Rodriguez, the person who first reported that he had accepted the Bama job was Ian Rappaport, because he was not a national NFL reporter at the time.
Interesting.
So, my order, by the way, I've got Saban, obviously. I would still go Urban right now.
Okay.
Kirby is right up there. Now, Kirby is also an obvious hire, right?
Right.
He's a guy that's pegged to be a head coach forever. He
it's
went
so
to
hard.
Georgia.
It's was Lincoln Riley a great hire at Oklahoma? It's like, I don't know. Maybe I could have had Oklahoma winning 10 games with that team, you know?
Maybe. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I think, any way you slice it, I mean, Kirby's a great hire. So he's in there. Let me give you an under. It's not number one, and I agree with Spurrier being in the conversation. Gary Pinkel at Missouri, hired in 2000. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. They were very close to being in the national title hunt at least one point. And then his last, let's see, I mean, he won 10 games at least 5 times in his last 8 years, won 12 games twice.
Yeah, won 2 SEC East crowns. Yep. He won 3 Big 12 North titles, I think.
Yep, that's right. SEC Coach of the Year in 2014. So he's not number one. He's probably not 2 or 3, but he's in the conversation.
Yeah, that's a good one, and not a name that I think most people would think of.
By the way, speaking of the Athletic, they had another great piece on the 2000 coaching carousel that everybody should check out.
Okay.
If y'all remember some of the names, I didn't even remember.
I don't. I was 7.
Pete Carroll, Jim Tressel, Les Miles to Oklahoma State, Mark Richt to Georgia, Gary Patterson to TCU, Pinkel to Missouri, Jim Grobe to Wake Forest, Urban Meyer to Bowling Green, Rich Rodriguez to West Virginia, Greg Schiano to Rutgers. I mean, it goes on and on.
Huh.
It is a fascinating piece. Frank Beamer, almost leaving Virginia Tech for UNC, backed out at the last minute.
That's awesome.
There
is that
were
a new piece?
Yeah, I think it just came out today, actually.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, I need to check that.
Really
that stuff is so interesting. So after I did the 1984 podcast a couple of years ago, and I mean, the idea was to have a lot of podcasts under like that umbrella and do more of those long form stories. The one that I was working on after that got shut down by COVID, and I guess I'll probably never finish, was trying to get the full story on the Bobby Crimmins coming to South Carolina thing, which has been reported on. I was like, I feel like there's more meat on the bone here. I'm with you. Like, those kinds of stories are so interesting. So I don't know if I'll ever finish that one, but hopefully somebody does, and hopefully someone does one on Saban to Bama. I didn't realize it was that.
Think about the rewriting of history if Rich Rod is the Bama coach instead. I mean, good grief.
If that happens, then none of us would like Preston wouldn't even think anything of the fact that he was undefeated against Alabama in his South Carolina career. It's just like, oh yeah, they're just a normal team.
And that's probably why that Saban hire is so great, because it's hard to imagine what Alabama was, where he pulled them from.
Yeah.
The doldrums. But that's what I always talk about history. That's why I love history, because we're under the illusion that it's a foregone conclusion that these things just happen. And when you read these stories, it's like, no, there are a lot of different ways how any of these things could have turned out. And it's always fascinating.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me like we put these people on pedestals a lot of times, and
100%.
and we act like they're not at their very core just normal human beings. Like Saban and his wife may have literally been sitting there just like you or I make a decision about a job or moving or something, going like he could have been 51-49 on is this the right thing, is this the right move, and then that one how he felt on that given day. He may the next day he may have been second guessing it, but I already made the decision. Like you never, like, these are still these are still human beings who are just making their own decisions
when he got
for themselves.
That call, he's just sitting there watching Jeopardy, eating a baked potato.
Oatmeal pie. He was eating the oatmeal pie.
Yeah. Man. All right. So that was, I thought, always going to be the easier one and maybe the less fun of the two exercises that we're going to indulge in here. The next one, and y'all be thinking about this, 803-404-6100. Hit us up with any suggestions. The worst. This is going to be fun. The worst coaching hire in the SEC of the 21st century. Next.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
Spending all day at the fair, just one big lump of lard over at the fairgrounds, just indulging in all the fried food I can find.
I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll just be passed out there in the middle, right by the rocket. So when all the kids have to go meet their parent,
meet your bill at the rocket.
All the lost kids, yes, they get their parents can point at me as I'm laid out on a bench, and they can be like, "See, this is why you don't walk off at the fair. You end up like this guy. Look at this guy with that belly over there just stretched out."
Just really sad. And you know what he does for a living? Talks on the radio. So
yeah.
This is a good teaching moment, children.
Such a sad, don't end up like, pay attention in school, kids. Pay attention in school.
On your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Don't look now, but the Dodgers are facing their first adversity of the season. After cruising to 111 wins, they lost Game 2 last night, meaning the Padres take a split back to San Diego. The Padres are division rivals, have elite talent, and now it's a best out of three. The pressure is on the Dodgers, big time. This is Damon Amendolara.
CBS Sports Radio.
Are you seeing the telomeres here? Come here, look at the scope.
Dr. Ocasio's lab startup just discovered a gene therapy breakthrough.
The cells have already doubled.
He needs a fleet of research assistants before this breakthrough breaks them.
We need lab techs, research assistants.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. That's why MVP's rewards members can earn bonus points on select products from brands like DeWalt, Purdy paint applicators, and GRK screws. Then redeem your bonus points for exciting rewards like tools, grills, Lowe's gift cards, and more. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details. Now through 10/28.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring. things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing. I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
I can walk again. I can cross my legs again. I can wear heels again.
After years of living with chronic joint pain, Andrea Southard is now living a normal life, pain-free, thanks to natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics.
We tried everything. And my husband had heard the commercial for QC Kinetics on the radio, and he told me to call him and check it out.
That phone call changed Andrea's life. QC Kinetics used powerful natural biologics to treat her aching joints. It's high-tech precision medicine that can restore and repair damaged joint tissue with no surgery and no drugs, providing lasting relief.
I felt like I was in my 20s again. I could tie my own shoes. Really the little things that you don't think about.
Pain in your hips, knees, back, shoulders? Get rid of the pain now. Call QC Kinetics.
803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860.
Government regulations for HVAC systems are changing in 2023. What does that mean for you? It means the time to save is right now. Contact AAA Heating and Air, who must clear out their warehouse to make room for these new regulated systems. No deals will be turned down. Plus, you get a 15-year part and labor warranty, guaranteed financing. Anyone can get a brand new HVAC system as soon as tomorrow. That's AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Spooky season is here, and there's nothing scarier than dingy, dirty, crunchy carpet under your feet. Trust no one other than the cleaning experts at Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to save your home from the dirt monsters. With over 1,900 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating, Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is the most highly reviewed cleaning company in the Midlands. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game. Schedule your cleaning online, ZerezColumbia.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
11:25 Thursday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, having some fun with an exercise that the Athletic put out today on their website, a roundtable. What do they call it? The SEC football coaching carousel, the best, worst, and most surprising hires in the SEC of the 21st century. So the last 22 years, we went through the best. Seems like pretty close consensus, Nick Saban, but nods to Gary Pinkel and Steve Spurrier, Kirby Smart, among some of the others mentioned for best hire. I thought that was going to be the shorter discussion, the less fun. We got some good thoughts out of it. Appreciate Chris bringing up Pinkel, especially Urban Meyer.
I think Spurrier's the answer, though. The more we talked about it, for second, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and again, even when you're talking about hire, like Alabama, as much as they were down, it's still Alabama. They're always going to be up. Nick Saban was an easy pick. You can make a case, I guess, that Spurrier was an easy pick for South Carolina as well. Being able to get him was great, but going to Alabama, going to Georgia, and making them good is not as impressive as going to South Carolina and making them good, in my opinion. So,
yeah, just getting it done is what you get credit for. I mean, Mike McGee had a way of going out and convincing coaches to come here.
Yeah. So, I think you can make a case. But what I really wanted to talk about, though, was the worst hire. Now, there's a lot. What? It's fun, right?
Would you?
There are a lot more options for worst hire than best hire, probably.
I have an answer that I hope none of you pick.
Ooh,
as soon as I teased that going into the last break, we immediately got a couple of texts, all with the exact same name. So I wonder if the gut reaction for all of us is going to be the same thing. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and we're all going to say the first name that comes to mind. Wes is freaking out. Y'all didn't have something jump to mind immediately?
I had like a few different names, and then I'm like, no. Well, what about this guy? And then
Okay,
like,
we'll just pick one because I'm curious if this is an experiment. I'm wondering how deep the group think goes because all the texters seem to agree. It was also the first name that came to my head, and I'm wondering if it's the first name that came to your head. So ready? 3, 2, 1. Chad
Jim
Morris.
McElwain.
Okay, no,
Jim McElwain is a good one.
that is a good one.
Who did you say?
Who did everybody say?
I said Derek Dooley.
Ooh.
I said
Ooh.
Chad Morris.
Oh, is that what the group said?
That's what the group said.
Okay, that's
a good one.
that gummit. That's
Do
probably,
y'all remember
how about
what Chad
Jeremy
Morris'
Pruitt?
record was at Arkansas?
He won like 2 games.
In 2 seasons, he was 4-18 and 0-14 in conference play.
Oh,
That's amazing.
All right,
it
conversation
really
over.
Yeah, it really is hard to beat. Derek Dooley was there 3 seasons.
Hold on one second. Hold on one
He
second.
was 4-19.
We can't end the conversation there. I know the numbers bear out, but let's say it was a bad. It didn't work hire. Was it a bad hire?
Okay.
Derek Dooley with his pants. He's the pants dude, right? He's the orange pants man.
He's orange pants.
That's him.
That's my vote.
Okay. All right. That's true. In the same way that a good hire doesn't necessarily just mean that you were successful. There's more that goes into it. Maybe a bad hire doesn't just mean you failed.
Tennessee might have the. Who was the champion of life? What was that guy?
Butch Jones.
Butch Jones.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
was. We're the champions in life, and what.
I also thought about Lane Kiffin. 1 year and you get the team on probation.
Yeah, I mean,
I
and
still think there's a case for Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah, Pruitt.
Wow.
Because he did have, what did he went?
I'm noticing a trend here.
Yeah, all Tennessee. Well, and here's the best part is my answer that I was hoping none of you were going to steal was also Tennessee. And his name has already come up once today. It's got to be Greg Schiano, right?
No,
Coach for 24 hours?
But he wasn't officially hired.
He was
wasn't
hired.
I mean,
he was
didn't-
hired.
He signed
and there was rioting in Knoxville, and then they
a
unhired
memorandum
him.
of
They
understanding.
didn't even fire him; they unhired him. That is the worst hire because it was only in place for 24 hours.
A D hire.
So maybe Tennessee's pain is a little bit deeper than our pain. I didn't realize it till just now. I mean, we're not comparing. We're not saying who's cuts the deepest, but They had to endure orange pants, man, and the champions of life.
And leadership reps.
Yeah, 5-star heart was another one.
Oh,
on signing day.
What's hold on. Sorry, you go. I'm gonna see what he's doing now.
Ooh, boy.
But Butch Jones at least won some games.
Okay.
Right? I mean, he did win some games. By the way, talking about guys who I don't count Schiano as a hire. I don't. Mike Price at Bama did not coach a game.
Yep.
So that's pretty bad.
He had some issues.
Yeah, he had a few issues.
That was
there.
the Godfather's suggestion in the text line.
What year was that?
Like,
Do you know, Chris?
Like early 2000s.
It was
something like
it was
that?
early enough where we were getting into cell phone records where he was making some questionable calls or tracking he was in a weird
Did a few
place, at a
questionable
weird time.
things.
Looks like it was 2003 because he was at Washington State in 2002, and the Wikipedia has nothing. And then 2004 UTEP. So I guess that was it.
I mean, Dooley. Let me say this. I don't know if he. I think you can make a case for Derek Dooley as the worst hire, right? But what I do think is he was almost certainly the most nonsensical hire. Like, he was from Louisiana Tech. He was 17-20, 12-12 in their conference. He had just finished a 4-8 season. He had 2 losing seasons out of 3.
Wow.
And they brought him there. And it's like,
yikes.
Like, what are you, the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, essentially.
And they got, not only didn't have a winning season when he was there, but they got worse every year that he was there. They went from, here's their conference record. 3-5, 1-7, and 0-7.
Eesh.
So
that's a good one.
And then do you remember? And Dooley, now he did have some gems in press conferences because he had that voice that makes me sound like I'm from the Midwest or something, like the Southern draw. You remember shower discipline?
No.
He's talking about teaching his players how to properly soap and everything. It was.
Wow, is that not an NCAA violation?
That was a mess. Now Derek Dooley, I think I'm talking myself into it. That was a pretty bad one.
That's really good.
I didn't realize the timing worked, but Mike Shula actually, I don't know, I'm trying to find the exact numbers, but that was not a great hire for Alabama, obviously.
Which is even more so the reason why Saban. That's why
Yeah.
we keep going out how great Saban's hire was.
Austin says Ron Zook.
Zookster.
Ooh, that's
the Zook's a good one.
Zook's, yeah, but
They
I
were
feel like
okay.
that's not good. That's not like Chad Morris, Derek Dooley bad though. I don't think.
And see, the Chad Morris hire it was not like Derek Dooley where it made no sense. You know, like even in like, can you imagine if Tennessee had tried to hire Derek Dooley in the Twitter era? Like it would never have happened.
True.
Well, so here's the thing that was weird about.
But Arkansas hired Chad Morris in the Twitter era.
They did, but like it made sense.
Yeah, and that's
what
why I was saying. I think it didn't work, and maybe his reputation was a little overinflated, even for what they did at SMU. And I don't think the Clemson fans were sad to see him go. So I don't know. I guess
It was
worth a
weird
shot.
because things weren't going the way they expected with Brett Bielema, but you built a program one way and then you went completely the other direction, and then 2 years later you went completely the other
Now we're
direction.
back.
again.
But I think that's kind of common in hiring, though. Like or certainly among fan bases.
Yeah.
Like if you were heavy defensive oriented program, people will be like, "I'm so tired of watching this offense. I want to go get an offensive guy." And then they watch the offense get better and the defense be awful. And the next hire, they're like, "I'm so tired of watching this defense miss tackles. I want a defense." So it kind of goes back and forth. But
And then
really,
you Galaxy brain it and hire a special
it's
teams
like,
guy.
yeah, there you go. But it's counterproductive, really, because I mean, Chad Morris. If you think about it, Chad Morris with Brett Bielema's players probably had no chance.
Yeah, I mean, is there
whatsoever.
one single player on Brett Bielema's roster of 100+ players that fit what Chad Morris wanted to do?
Offensively, probably not. Defensively, I don't know, but offensively, I mean, you're talking pretty much every single position. You probably were recruiting for a different skill set.
Yeah, probably the opposite skill set.
By the way, Brett Bielema qualifies in the Haas division of coaches. Absolute like big man.
Yeah,
unit.
Yes.
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 I love when Brett Bielema he would went through this phase where he's tweeting out cooking advice.
Really?
Yeah. Like omelets and stuff. It was hilarious.
I would take I saw him in person. I was like, okay, all right. Okay. That's what we doing.
Bonus trivia points. Is Butch Jones coaching right now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's part of it. Bonus
Arkansas State.
Bonus trivia. Oh
Yeah.
my. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? Man. You shouldn't know that. No one needs to keep up with Butch Jones anymore.
I know. No.
You're getting docked for that.
The only reason I knew that is because of Corey Rucker.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Gamecock
that's fair.
connection.
There's a tie in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you know what the folks at The Athletic said. Y'all keep the suggestions coming. Again, a lot of good options here. 803-404-6100. I'm sticking with Greg Schiano. You can pick from any of like 15 other Tennessee coaches because it's just been a disastrous century for them until they got Jeff Heupel, who also was like, that didn't look like it was going to be a home run. That might, the next category is most surprising. I think that's firmly in that category now. We'll see how it ends, of course, or at least continues. But y'all keep it coming. 803-404-6100 at Pearson Fowler, at Coach P Tweets, at Wes Mitchell GC, and at GC Chris Clark.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game. High school coverage on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
Swept by warm trade winds and soothed by the sound of the surf, Fripp Island Golf and Beach Resort remains an escape for guests of all ages. Fripp Island Resort is home to 2 breathtaking golf courses, a full-service marina, professional racket club, outdoor pool complexes, outstanding restaurants, and more. Enjoy over 3 miles of unspoiled, uncrowded beach when you discover the simple seaside serenity of Fripp Island Golf and Beach Resort. Book your vacation rental today at FrippIslandResort.com.
Travis Bedson, owner of CNT Foundations. Travis, let's say I have a foundation problem. What's next?
Gary, it depends on who you call. With many of the large corporate companies, it could be months before they get to you. At CNT Foundations, we value customer satisfaction over customer volume. and it's our mission to get to you right away.
Call 803-805-8044. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
Sticks. The legacy continues. Sticks. Friday, April 21st, Township Auditorium. Sticks. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Sticks live. Produced by AEG Presents 0 Mile.
17.8 pounds. That's the average weight loss achieved in just 30 days during a recent patient study of a breakthrough weight loss program called Weightless from New Image Medical. Weightless uses a prescription-only, compounded 3-in-1 combination of medications designed to suppress appetite, remove sugar and alcohol cravings, and defeat weight loss by decreasing carbohydrate and lipid absorption, while helping stabilize post-meal glucose spikes and regulating sugar levels. The result? An average weight loss of nearly 18 pounds in just 1 month. You won't find Weightless at your local name brand pharmacies, and you don't need to ask your doctor for a prescription. Just visit the exclusive home of Weightless at mynewimage.com. That's image.com. Use promo code DRESS to save 30%. Why wait a year to lose almost 18 pounds? Start Weightless now, and you could drop that much in a month. Start now by going to mynewimage.com and use promo code DRESS. Again, that's image.com, and save 30% using promo code DRESS.
Employee onboarding?
Automated.
Customer support?
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily?
Lead management?
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. Connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right. Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses.
Even complex tasks?
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at zapier.com/radio. That's zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Pioneer Tree Service has more than 4 decades of helping homeowners maintain and manage trees on their property. Their skilled crew offers customized solutions that match your needs and budget. Tree trimming and tree removal can be dangerous. You need to trust the people that are doing the job. Before attempting to remove limbs, call Pioneer Tree Service for a free quote. They remove limbs safely and make sure that future growth is directed away from potential trouble areas such as roof lines and driveways. Cutting down trees takes more than a chainsaw. Even branches can weigh thousands of pounds, and their removal must be handled with care. Pioneer Tree Service offers a full complement of state-of-the-art heavy equipment, from track hose to bucket trucks, to safely remove trees and stumps from your property. And no matter where you live, the Gantt girls can get there. And I want you to call them at 803-794-8253.
Hey, y'all, Jay Phillips here from my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got good ones, they work so well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. All kinds of fans at Dan's Fan City, big to small and quiet. Quality fans. They have accessories and light kits, fan blades, and more. Stop by and see them soon. Harbison Boulevard next to Total Wine, or call Dan's Fan City 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:41 Thursday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, talking best hires, worst hires, most surprising hires. Again, this is an athletic piece. They talk about the hires that they're most surprised didn't work out. We probably won't get that far down the rabbit hole today, because I really do want to turn our attention to the recent crop of hirees in the SEC, talk about some of the guys that may land in one of these categories. But before we get back into that, Wes wants to tell everybody how, if they need to move, because moving is a reality in life. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but it doesn't have to be a terrible experience.
I'm going to tell you about one of the best hires I ever made, and that was when I got Gamecock Moving to help me move from actually 2 houses, my fiance's and my own house, into one. I mean, I got to tell you, it was a very stressful process at the beginning. We brought Gamecock Moving on as a sponsor, and I started talking to those guys about what my options were, and they made this process incredibly simple. GamecockMoving.com. Again, they can do the same for you. 803-814-3569. You can call them or text them. Residential and commercial moving services, licensed, bonded, and insured. In the case of our move, they literally packed everything up for us, put it on a truck from 2 different houses, took it to the new house, unpacked it, set it down exactly where we wanted, and then in some cases actually helped put the furniture back together. So it was a complete step-by-step from step A all the way to the end process, and they made it incredibly smooth. If you tell them that you heard about them right here on the GC Takeover Hour on 107.5, you'll actually get a discount. So do that. 803-814-3569. Again, GamecockMoving.com. Shout out to those guys, and shout out for helping make it easy.
Any other worst coaches that you guys thought of during the break? Worst coaching hires? No?
I mean, I would nominate Gene Chizik, but we just got to take away that natty that he got.
Yeah, it's hard to say worse for anyone that won a national
he's
championship.
Exonerated.
Even if it happened in spite of him. Now, Seth Emerson said the one I want to say here is Gene Chizik, but the year with Newton in the national championship did happen.
See?
Yeah, you can't. He
has a pass for life.
In that same vein, I was surprised several people mentioned, although didn't necessarily, I don't think, it doesn't look like specifically picked Ed Orgeron. Of course, the way that ended was not what people would have wanted, but that's one of the best football teams that has ever been fielded. I think you have to.
They picked him for worst. Like
yeah.
That,
yeah, you can't do
I
that.
can't get there, man. Like it didn't end well, but it was a great relationship for a moment there. So you can't look back on that as being all bad. I do kind of like, you mentioned Lane Kiffin. I kind of like how Lane is a dark horse for both worst hire and best hire.
Yeah.
He's not going to win either category.
Worst
but
at Tennessee, best at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I kind of like the symmetry there.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's segue in here because one of the nominees in this category for the folks at The Athletic says this is a little bit of a prisoner of the moment situation here, but it might be Brian Harsin.
Most surprising?
For worst.
Oh, worst.
He did almost get fired after one season, which is hard to do.
Not as hard at Auburn, which is the weirdest place on earth.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Is that on your radar for a worst?
It is almost surely the worst fit.
Mm-hmm.
Worst hire. I don't know if I can get there. Don't know if I could get there. Worst fit, yes, on board.
Okay. Well, let's segue that and then to most surprising. We can go one way or the other. Just most surprising. It can be the hire itself. It can be surprising that it worked, or most surprising that it didn't work.
I have a few that I feel like I haven't really decided on mine. I have a few that I feel like will come up or could come up fairly.
Okay.
One would be Harsin because it was such a weird fit. Derek Dooley was surprising, probably. I don't remember that at the time because it was a long time ago. 2 others actually at South Carolina. I feel like some people are going to say the fact that South Carolina hired Will Muschamp was surprising. It was not to those of us that followed it because we knew it was going in that direction, but like outsiders would go, oh, why'd they do that? And then probably Steve Spurrier was surprising that he came here.
Yeah.
I think those are just a few to throw out there.
That might be one to put in the category of most surprising that it worked too. Not because it's Steve Spurrier, but because Steve Spurrier, just what he thought was coming on a little retirement tour somewhere where he could play golf turned into the best stretch of Carolina football in history.
And here's another little side element to it that maybe you add more surprise. Alabama called Steve Spurrier during the Nick Saban search, and he turned him down.
Yeah. I don't think it was a surprise that it worked. Like if I remember correctly, I feel like there was such, and maybe this is a little local bias here, I don't know, but there was such of a respect and awe for what Spurrier had done at Florida.
Mhm.
Like, I remember the sense here on campus, and I was a sophomore at the time, was just like, we've arrived. Like, Steve Spurrier is the best coach in SEC history, was basically the feel here. And it was really a surprise that it didn't work at faster. I feel like I remember going through those like 07, 08 teams being like, is this really not going to work? Like what? Like I feel like, because he came in instantly and beats Florida. It hadn't happened since I think the 30s at the time. Literally,
It was mostly his fault too.
yeah, beats Florida, beats Tennessee. Tight game with Clemson, then beats Clemson the next year, and you were just thinking, this thing is about to roll, and it never, not never, but at the time, it kind of went back the other way, and you were saying, is this going to happen? And then the 3-11 win seasons go. But to answer your question, Brian Kelly,
Yes, I was going to say that's hiding in plain
the
sight.
biggest surprise in that. Wait, you're leaving Notre Dame, and we don't really see coaches until this past sort of cycle leaving Power 5 jobs where they're happy and winning for another Power 5
Well, not just
job.
Power 5 jobs. Wasn't that like the only time that a Notre Dame head coach had left to take another college football coaching job in like 70 years or basically ever?
Can't confirm that, but that sounds right.
I remember some stat like that around the time, but that to me is the one hiding in plain sight. There's another one. Again, we all have the kind of the recency bias prisoner of their moment, but there are so many coaches that have recently been hired in the SEC that I think fit into a lot of these categories. So we'll give you one more at least in terms of most surprising hire. We'll get your thoughts too. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line to get us in the text line, or all of us on Twitter at Pearson Fowler, at Coach P Tweets, GC Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell GC.
The Halftime Show with Jay Phillips and Terry Ford.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Spooky season is here, and there's nothing scarier than dingy, dirty, crunchy carpet under your feet. Trust no one other than the cleaning experts at Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to save your home from the dirt monsters. With over 1,900 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating, Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is the most highly reviewed cleaning company in the Midlands. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Schedule your cleaning online, ZerezColumbia.com.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at HerndonChevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get all this behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. To get the best results for our clients, we stay on top of the law and the IRS rules and regulations. It's important to us to get you back on track and in compliance legally without worry for your future. At the Ecton Law Firm, we've handled hundreds of cases for everyday hardworking people like you right here in the Carolinas. Don't face the IRS alone. Know your legal rights. Call me to set up your appointment. The first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with a licensed attorney in person at our office in Irmo, just off I-26. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. Carolinas, if you have an IRS issue, you need a local attorney. You need me, John Ecton.
Hey guys, it's me, wrestling legend Ric Flair, and I'm on a mission to help millions of guys put more flair down there with Mount Everest. Unlike generic ED treatment programs that can take up to 60 minutes to work, Mount Everest can have you standing at attention in as little as 5 minutes. You'll have an absolutely mind-blowing experience every time. That's because only Mount Everest offers a unique 3-in-1 custom compounded medication. Mount Everest will make you a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun like me every night. Don't lose another night to ED. Put some flair down there with Mount Everest. Woo!
See if Mount Everest is right for you. Go to joinnuimage.com now and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. That's join, the letters NU, image.com and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. Go to joinnuimage.com and save 20% with promo code RADIO.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
on the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
All right, a couple minutes left here on a Thursday morning. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you. Keep listening to 1075 The Game, and we'll give you chances throughout the course of the week and weeks here to win a pair of tickets to go see Styx at the Township coming up this spring. Just keep listening to 1075 The Game. More opportunities for you throughout the course of the afternoon right here on 1075 The Game. So a couple of honorable mentions. Somebody that just came up as we were talking during the break in a different discussion. But for both best and most surprising in terms of how successful it was, I feel like we got to mention James Franklin and Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah, I was just telling the guys during the break that I thought that probably should have been thrown in. It's not the best hire, right? They didn't win a championship or anything like that. But like even on the best hires list, like you probably should throw that in. He was there, 3 seasons? They won 9 games twice at Vanderbilt, and then he parlayed that into getting the Penn State job. So
right.
obviously that was
I think
hire.
that might be top. Like the top 5 might be like Nick Saban, Kirby, Spurrier, James Franklin, Urban. That might be the top. Like
yeah.
How many years after James Franklin left did it take for Vanderbilt to win 9 games total? Like how many combined seasons of wins? Was it 3, 4?
I'll effort that.
Yeah, that was an impressive hire. And I, by the way, shout out to Andrew Brown on Twitter. Andrew, we're not stealing your take. We literally all kind of arrived on that at the same time, but he had just tweeted us during the break as well and said, James Franklin for one of the best SEC hires. And I'm surprised it took us this long to get there because
yeah, me too.
Those Vandy teams, I mean, they won 9 games, but they also, I mean, they gave South Carolina some battles too. So they were close to winning even more games, I feel like, which is, and they recruited well there, I guess, compared to what they normally do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that I forgot it because I literally wrote down 3 names and just didn't refer to my notes. I wrote down Saban, Spurrier, and Franklin, and Shiano and Chad Morris for worst.
Then they brought in the most overrated coach after that.
Did y'all know that this is a strong anti-Derek Mason show?
I did not.
I will stake my claim on that hill.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Might be right.
I think
I think history's
I think I'm right.
Pretty favorable. Most surprising, got a text here from Patrick. Says Sam Pittman has to be one of the most surprising. Someone that wasn't a coordinator, an offensive line coach, to go grab an SEC West job like that. I think everyone was pretty shocked when that happened, right?
I mean, yeah, but to make the quick musical comparison, it's sort of like he was a studio musician. Everybody in the industry knew he was really good. It just took somebody having the courage to hire him.
Right.
So kudos to Arkansas for making that hire. That might have been more so of how far in the toilet they were.
But it's so hard to break that cycle, you know?
It is. And that's why I say kudos to them for actually having the courage to do it.
Yeah. Chris, you didn't look like you were that surprised.
I mean, maybe a little bit that somebody had the courage to do it, but it made sense, because he's a veteran guy. He was a guy that wasn't a coordinator, but he had been to Arkansas. He was beloved there when he was there. I think he was there like 3 seasons, 2013 or so, 2015. So I mean, the hire made sense. A little bit of surprise, yeah, but he's not the most surprising to me.
But in the conversation, is that fair?
Put it in this
in terms of the recent hires, I mean, Kirby's not recent anymore, but Sam Pittman and most surprising. Wes, you mentioned Lane Kiffin may end up in the discussion for best in a couple of years. I think Josh Heupel is probably going to end up in the category of most surprising strongly in terms of how much Jeff Heupel, sorry.
Thank you. Are we being nose blind to Shane Beamer?
Well, I just don't know. I just don't know yet.
I said it's surprising.
I think it's one of those things. You can get caught into the local versus national and like losing the perception of what it probably was from the outside. I would say local, not surprising one bit. Outside of this footprint, maybe surprising in that if you haven't been a coordinator or a head coach, naturally people that aren't like following your program closely are going to kind of be a little surprised.
I guess that is, you're right. Yeah, maybe nose blind because it's the same argument that I just made for Sam Pittman, but Shane Beamer's younger and not as experienced in the SEC as Pittman. So, yeah, a lot of the recent hires with a good chance to fall into one, if not multiple, of these categories. So, I really didn't plan to go the whole hour with that, but it was a lot of fun. Appreciate you all weighing in. We'll get back into some more South Carolina thoughts. Again, headed into the open week, we'll start to take a 30,000 look view at some of the analytics and where the team stacks up compared to the rest of the SEC halfway through the season. But that is all we have time for today. Appreciate you all listening and being a part of the show as always. And the halftime show is coming up next.